In this week's lesson, we're going to learn about how chords are made, what all those funny looking symbols are, and how you can improvise over them. Hi, this is Paul from Online Sax Academy, and on this channel I release new videos every week to help you become a better sax player and musician overall. So hit subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on future lessons. Okay, so we're going to start right back at the beginning, learning how to construct simple triads from a major scale. Now the reason why I want to do this is because lots of teachers will just say, over this chord play this scale. But often what you play over a chord will depend on what context the chord is in. These chord symbols don't tell you all the information that you actually need to know when you're improvising. So when you see, for example, an F major chord, that F major can mean very different things depending on where it is and what's around it. So we're going to start by writing out a major scale and then constructing our triads, and I'll show you what I mean. So here we have our C major scale. Underneath I'm going to write the what's called chord degrees, which is basically just the numbers of each note. So you'll see that some of them are written with capital letters and some aren't, and you'll see why soon. So we're going to start by making triads. Now triads are 3-note chords. They're some of the most basic chords you can make, and they're the building blocks of everything else. Once you understand this and how they function, it helps inform so much of the extra stuff that people will put onto a basic chord symbol. So we'll start with C major, and we do this by hitting this note. We miss this one. This is our second note that we have in the chord. So we put that above, and then we skip again to this note. So we're always skipping. And skipping is called moving in thirds. So there we have our C major triad. Now the symbol you'll see in lead sheets and if you're playing any pop or rock music is you're going to see just a capital C. So major chords, all you need to do if it's a simple major triad is write the capital letter plus. If it's like a B flat major chord, it'll be a capital B with a flat sign, and that's it. All right, this next chord, we have D. Now we're going to miss this one. We land on F, and then we land on A. All right, now this chord here is a D, but it's not major. It's actually a minor chord. And for that symbol, there's a few different symbols. It hasn't really been standardized yet. So you might see DMI, you might see DMIN, or you might even see D minus sign. All those mean exactly the same thing. Now, why is this one minor and why is this one major? And it's to do with the internal structure of the chord, the distance from this note to this note. This distance is called a major third, and all that means is we've moved up 4 half steps. So to get from C to an E, you've got C sharp, D, E flat, E. So we've moved 4 steps, and if you've had to move 4 half steps, that's called a major third, and that's what makes this chord sound like a major chord. This one, however, D to F, if you count the half steps, D sharp, E, F, that's only got 3 half steps, and so that's why this is called a minor third, and it makes a minor chord, and this is a major third. This distance here from C to G and D to A, these distances for all of these chords apart from this last one, which we'll talk about, that distance there is always a perfect fifth, which is one of the most stable sounds, but it's also quite an empty sound. It doesn't have much emotional content. That's where these major and minor thirds kind of give you kind of the musical emotion. Right, so I'm going to fill in the rest of these chords. Now, you can go through and check this, but if we do that same process of counting the half steps, you'll find that this is a minor third and this is a perfect fifth. Perfect fifth, by the way, is 7 half steps. So this is E minor. Now I'm just going to put E, M, I. I'm not going to fill in all of these different variations. In fact, I'll get rid of those just to keep it clear. E minor, F major, nice and easy, just a big capital F. G major, A minor, and this one is called B diminished. There's a few different symbols for this. I'm just going to put that there for now. That may change later. So first of all, you want to feel really comfortable moving around these basic triads, so the chord tones. So when you see a C major chord symbol, you're going to use C, E and G. A minor, A, C, E. F major, the F, A, C. And the G major, G, B, D. So C, E, G. A minor, F major, and G major. What we want to do now is link these together. We've only got one bar for each chord. So it'll be da ba ba da ba 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 da. And we'll just do something simple like that for now, just to get the sound of these chords going. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you get comfortable with that, you can start to play around with the rhythm a little bit. 1, 2, 3. Then you can start to think about which note you start with. So at the moment we've just been starting with the root note of each chord, so just the main note, C on C major, A on A minor, etc. But you may notice that some notes are in common, so like a C is in a C major chord, but a C is also in the A minor chord, there it is, and a C is in the F major chord, here. So you can make up games like, okay, I'm going to try and start each of these 3 bars on a C, and then I'll add in some filling notes between, just to see what it sounds like. So let's give that a try. 1, 2, 3. And you can start to create some like really nice, interesting lines that go through. Of course, you can do things like expand the notes. So at the moment, we've been mainly sticking in one area on the sax, but there's nothing stopping you from using any C, E or G for this chord all the way up the sax, and likewise for the others. So let's try expanding the range a bit. 1, 2, 3. Once you feel really comfortable with all of that, you can then start to add in the passing notes. Now this is where, when I was first learning this stuff, I used to get really confused because I'd learnt that, oh okay, when you see a chord symbol C, you play the scale of C major. So then I would see like the chord symbol F and go, oh well, that's an F major chord, so do I play the scale of F major? And this is where these chord symbols, they don't have all the information inside them. It's not telling you what's called the functional information of this chord. So this F is functioning as chord 4, it's the 4th degree of the C major scale. Now this will change things up when we start to add in these passing notes, and later on when we start to add on extensions. But when you start to do that, it starts to reveal more and more of this main scale where the chord is coming from. So you don't want to use B flats in this context, and you certainly don't want to use, there are F sharps in the G major scale, and that's a G major chord, but remember this G major chord is chord 5 of our C major. So we can add in the notes that are in between these chord tones. Now I would still try to land on the chord tones at the beginning of each bar. That always sounds nice. And if you're going to jump or skip between notes, so not just moving like C, D, E, D, C like that, if you want to skip, I would skip between chord tones for now. It's going to really help emphasize the sound of these chords. So let's give that a try. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next up, we're going to add on the next level of extensions and add some sevenths to these chords. And this is when it starts to really look like your typical jazz standard. So we've had C, E, G. Oh, let's just add that on there. The next one is a B. So we add a B here. Now what we've got here is what's called a major 7 chord. And again, there's a couple of different chord symbols you may see. The most common one I find is a triangle, or you might see this, C, and then they'll write M, A, J for major and a 7. Those are the two symbols that you're likely to see. D minor, the note we're going to add on, we had D, F, A, so the next one up is a C. This is what's called a minor 7th. So we're just going to add a 7 there. Whenever you see just a big 7, that means you're adding on a minor 7th. What that means is the distance from this note to this note is the interval of a minor 7th, which happens to be 10 half steps, if you ever wanted to check it. Or the other way you can check it is this C is only 2 half steps away from going back to the D. That's probably a bit quicker as well. Okay, next up we have E minor, E, G, B. So we can add on one more 7th, we miss out this one, add on D. Again, this D is 2 half steps away from the root note E, so that's a minor 7th, so just a big 7. F major, we've got F, A, C, so we're now going to add on E. Okay, now just as we were talking about minor 7s here, a major 7 is just 1 half step away. So if I'm on the note E and I just go up 1 half step, I land on F. So whenever you just have to move up 1 half step, that creates the interval here of a major 7th. Or if you're counting from the bottom going up, that's 11 half steps. So this is a major 7th again. So it's another one of these triangles. Let's do this one, G major. So G, B, D. So we've got G, B, D. We add on another step, F. All right, now, is this a major or a minor 7th? Well, F, to get to a G, we have to go F, F sharp, G, 2 steps. So that is an interval there of a minor 7th. When I'm saying minor 7th, it doesn't mean that this chord becomes minor. This is still got a major chord base because the distance between there to there is a major 3rd. But we've got a minor 7th on the top. This is called a dominant 7th. The word dominant comes from the old classical harmony, and dominant is just the technical way of saying the 5th degree of the scale. And it's the only dominant 7th you get within a scale, and it's always on the 5th degree. Right, next up, A minor. So A, C, E, we're going to add on G. And if you check it, you'll see that is a minor 7, so just a big 7. Then B, D, F, we're going to add on A. This is no longer a full diminished chord, it's actually what we call a half diminished, so we put a line through there. All right, now this pattern of major 7, minor 7, minor 7, major 7, dominant 7, minor 7, half diminished. That pattern's always the same, no matter what scale you're on. The chords that you can generate from that scale always follow this pattern. So now we're going to write out a typical chord sequence that you might see in a jazz standard, and we'll talk about how you can improvise with these chords. All right, so what I've done here is written out almost the same chord sequence as we had last time. So a chord tone solo, we're going to use the 1, 3, 5 and 7 now on each of these chords. So let's just go through those. So C major 7 will sound like this. A minor 7, D minor 7, and G7. First of all, as ever, you just want to get your fingers really used to each of those chords. You want it to feel completely effortless to be able to move between these chord tones. So let's put this to a kind of pulse. We'll go about this speed, and I'm just going to go round this a few times, and you should be able to hear the chords changing. 1, 2, 3, 4. was just with the chord tones. Now, like last time, we added in the in-between passing notes. We can do the same here. Now, when we add in this in-between note, we actually end up with our full scale. We've got 4 chord tones and 3 passing notes. So it becomes even more important now if you want to create the sound of really marking out these chords, to feature the chord tones more heavily in each bar. People will be able to feel those chords passing by just by the notes that you're playing. So I'll give it a go. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, that's it for this week, guys. Let me know in the comments if there's anything you're not sure of and anything you want me to cover in future lessons. Okay, I'll see you next week.